Welcome to our 5 o'clock meeting. It's July 11th, 2023. We'll state who's here. We'll start with Clark.
Clark Nelson.
Karen Winder.
Connie Burgess.
Karen Chandler. Julie Jackson.
Rich Nye.
And I'm Chris Wynn. I'm the board vice president. Excused today is Nicole McDermott and Todd Hopper. And we will start with administrative reports with capital and construction update with Justin and Chris, if they're working. Is our screens working, Ben?
There you go.
No, they are not.
We're having a little bit of technical issues. Here we go.
There we go.
I'm going to just switch to a Mac here.
Okay, no worries.
Because this is not working for us.
That's good. Yeah.
We're trying to build some anticipation here, so.
The excitement, we just can't wait.
Should we be playing Jeopardy final round music? Probably.
Looks like we're good to go. Thanks.
Okay, I think we're ready to go. Thank you, board members and superintendency. We will jump right in here. And as far as the security updates, the only change is there is no change. We're finishing up Oakwood and Woodstock. Let's give me some screen here, Ben. What's this? Does that matter? I don't know, it just popped up. There we go. Thank you. So we are just in the process of finishing up Woodstock and Oakwood. I updated the slide just a teeny bit this afternoon after some visits yesterday and today. And so we're getting much closer on both Oakwood and Woodstock. I updated the percentage there. It says 70% complete. Still waiting for some storefront to be installed and some paint and just a few touch-up things, but we're moving very quickly on those. Here's a photo there of looking out the new vestibule through the new doors we've added, so that forces you to come into the office before you go into the school, and then and then you can be entered in, then you go into the school from there. This is the same plan as Diamond Ridge, if you've been to Diamond Ridge. So this would be for both Oakwood and then Woodstock. Woodstock is a little further along. They actually have some of their millwork has been installed and countertops are there. So just some finishing things there, but they're way ahead of schedule, which is good news. I know the staff is anxious to get in there, and we'll make it on time. And we may, hate to promise this, we may be a couple days early, so that's exciting. And there's a couple of slides there of the cabinets that have been installed. Countertops are now on, though. That slide's a little bit older. And then again, the storefront looking, the picture on the left is looking at the as you're standing in the secure vestibule and having to come into the office where this picture is being taken from before you can go into the school itself. So making good progress. We'll jump into the ongoing construction projects that we have throughout the district. Roofing projects, Westbrook and Arcadia. Punch list you can see there for the the Westbrook project is just finishing up with punches, items that you need to correct, small things like that. And Arcadia is very much on the heels of that, just a few small things left, but 99% complete. So good work there. Bonneville Junior, the stage lighting, we're getting the materials next week, we've been told, which is great news. And so once that gets here, then they can get those installed and move towards completion, which is exciting. Even more exciting is I got to go yesterday to Cottonwood and listen to the new sound system, and it is awesome. It rocks. And the same people that installed our sound system at Cottonwood High School, Performance Audio, did the installation for the South Valley Performing Arts. Is that right? They're on 54th and just west of I-215. And they said this one's even better sound system than that one. So it's exciting. I did listen to it, and it does really rock. It's exciting. Tomorrow they're doing a punch list, making sure everything works, the mics and all that good stuff. So good shape there, and that will be exciting for the school and any future performances or rentals or anything like that. So that's good news. Hunter High Junior High School auditorium upgrade. The components have been installed and just waiting for some programming to finish up. It should start this week, and so just on the heels of this next week or so, get that one done, and we can check that one off as well. So that's good news for Hunter Junior. Hey Ben, can I make this any bigger? Your screen. Is there any way to make that any bigger?
No.
Okay. I will get closer to the screen. How's that?
I get it.
Or actually, I could probably just read it off of here. It's probably better.
Escape out,
That's fine.
and you can make it bigger this way.
Oh, okay.
That help?
A little bit. Thank you. Thank you. As far as HVAC projects, boiler replacement and upgrade on controls, there's a list of projects you were given in your board packet. As far as I was told yesterday, talking with our folks working on those, that these percentages are all accurate. In fact, this is probably a week and a half old, so making great progress on many of these projects. You can see high percentages on Fox Hills, Granite Park Junior. The cooling tower here is over 50% complete, scheduled and test and balance, and the list goes on there. So a lot of good things happening this summer with the hot temperatures, but they are working quickly inside to get our HVAC systems buttoned up and moving forward. Oakwood, William Penn, and Woodstock, the three schools that we're remodeling for the consolidation, are just over 30% complete. Toured those yesterday, and they feel good about those. We're a little nervous, so we'll make a phone call tomorrow and just with the owner of the company make sure that he also feels good about those. There's a lot of, all the demolition's done, the materials are there, it's just a matter of getting them all installed in time for school. That's not the concern as much as it is their completion date was July 28th, so 2 weeks away. That's what we're concerned about, making that, but if we make that, we're fine with school. So we're pushing. We'll make a phone call tomorrow and make sure they understand the importance of those classrooms all buttoned up and ready to go so kiddos can be in there start of school this August. Here's a few pictures of that work going on. Again, these are a couple weeks old, but you can kind of see what's happening in all three. Again, the demolition's all done, and it's just a matter of now putting back. They have some big structural steel they have to put in this room that we're dividing so they can hang the dividing door, dividing curtain, and that's happening even as we today as we were out and about.
I'd love to
Hi,
come
Julie.
and see what's happening. Is that something where I could drop by and have the principal just kind of walk me around, or is that something you'd like to do with me, Justin?
Yeah, I would love myself or one of our guys to meet with you and walk. That'd be great. I'm not sure some of those principals are aware, and maybe some of them aren't aware of all the latest, but we would love to be there when you have time and want to walk that. Just
We'll organize a day then.
okay,
Thanks.
perfect. While I mentioned I was at Cottonwood to check out the auditorium yesterday, update on the teen center. They are running crazy in there, ductwork, electrical, all the studs are up, and you can see the spaces. There's no drywall hung yet, but you can see the spaces being divvied up and divided up there, so it's in good shape. That one is not to be completed before the start of school, and the school knows that, but they are making good progress. The contractor does want to get done ahead of schedule, which is into September, and I think he will, the pace he's going right now. So good news there on the teen center at Cottonwood High School. There's some pictures there. You can see these are old. That's the one on the left is a large space that's now been divided in all the different little rooms, and so it doesn't look anything like that anymore. Oh, sorry. And then just some ductwork there. But it is, I think all their metal studs are up, so that's exciting.
Do you want to go back to the presentation mode?
Sure, whatever you'd like. Thank you. The football fields, Kearns has 30 yards of green turf down and the yellow end zone on the north, so that's exciting. And they're moving very quickly there. The crews will bounce from there to Olympus. The turf is at Olympus, so we've got the turf in town and at the location of the school. And they're just finishing up a little bit of fine grading, and then they can have the installers come and install the Olympus turf right after Kearns. And then Cottonwood, there's still a few things to do at Cottonwood. When we move the track, the long jump and the high jump events down into the field, into the bowl, there's some concrete work there. So that's why this one is just a little bit further behind the other two, because there was more work to do to get it ready for the field, including running the cannons that cool down the system. So making good progress. The turf arrives this week, and the contractor told us just this week that even if all the concrete on the outside's not done, he'll start in the middle with the turf and work his way out so that he can meet us. He knows his deadline is July 28th for all three. It's the same contractor for all three fields. So he assured us that won't be a problem. He also assured us he does this every year. They have 14 fields between Utah and Wyoming that they are taking care of. And he did not seem stressed in the least, but I think if we had 14 fields and we only had 2 weeks left, I'd be a little nervous. But he said this happens every year, and he's got good crews, so we'll see progress there. Again, Kearns, looks, if you go out there, you can see the colors already starting to pop up, so it's exciting. Here's a few photos. Olympus High, where they dug the trench for the water cannons to go in. Jump to Cottonwood, you can see the new trench and the high jump pit there that was put in, the asphalt put in there, and the surface on that. Kearns High School prepping for this. Again, this is, every day is a whole series of new pictures, so these are older, but good progress there in the fields. Jump to Westlake. You can, I'll show you the pictures here in just a second, but it's a whole herd of ants running everywhere. On the very south end is the furthest, I think I've said this before, the south end is the furthest ahead, and so they're hanging drywall and taping and mudding and getting ready for those kind of finishes. As you work your way north, they're still dropping in roof joists and decking and putting in the roofing membrane and insulation. I'll show you that. So the first picture there on the left is looking at the two-story. This is from the south, maybe almost from the McDonald's parking lot, looking towards our new media center and teacher collaboration hub. The media center is upstairs there, and the teacher collaboration hub is the lower one there, and that will be exciting to get the glass in there and have great views there. You see the steel trusses here in the picture on the right that are over the auditorium. Those have all been installed, and so they're decking the auditorium now, which is exciting, putting the metal deck down. You see the mezzanine in the auditorium there to the left, and then framing in the commons areas. Structural steel happening as we exit out to the north. They're still dropping in structural steel members and working their way out of the building to the north. The CT wing, that picture there looks like a giant warehouse, but it's actually got metal studs going in now, and they're starting to divide that space, so it's taking shape as well as far as the individual spaces. Here's kind of an aerial photo. You can see again from the southeast, looking a little northwest, if you will. You see the two-story media center and teacher collaboration hub. the classroom wings on either side, 2-story, science here closer to you, and then as we get further in the building, oh, that was the only picture we had right there. You can start to see the administration wing there and the rest of the building. It's coming along very nicely and exciting. I was out there yesterday looking at a fence issue, and they're working on site work too. So it's really taking shape. Hogan's doing a good job there. And then as far as the change orders, there was no change orders this month that needed to come before the board for Westlake. Any questions on any of that I went through maybe a little fast, but any questions on any of those items or projects? I'm going to let Chris now talk about Skyline and Cypress.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity once again to talk about the progress at Skyline and Cypress High Schools. So June was an extremely good month for construction. It was dry and it was actually really nice weather for most of it. So a lot of progress was made at both sites. I think if you were to go to the sites at the beginning or at the end of May, about the time that school got out to now, it would be a dramatic difference. And thank you for those who toured Cypress. There's even a lot of progress since our last tour there. So at Skyline, most of the north side athletic improvements are completed. We've got a few things that we still need to finish. We've got a couple driveway issues that we need to complete, and quite a bit of lighting adjustments still needs to be done. We did have the engineers come out and revisit and take some light meter readings and put some science behind some of the conversations that we've been having with the north side neighbors and stuff to try to resolve all those issues. And some of those adjustments, the shrouds are being fabricated and made, and we're just waiting on the delivery on those.
So there will be adjustments.
Yes, on both the trail and on the tennis lights.
Will they be requiring change orders?
The light adjustments on the tennis courts are part of the contract requirements. The change on the shrouds for the trails do, yes. Yeah, there'll be some small ones, but some custom things are being made for the trail shrouds, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, we're spending more money on that.
Thank you. Just want to be aware.
Just want to be aware. Okay. In the actual building construction, the academic wing, the main north and south academic building is rapidly pushing towards the direction where it looks like a classroom building. So if you were to walk inside, even from the photos that I'm going to show you here, they're about 3 or 4 weeks out of date at this point. So that's what happens when we have a board meeting on the 11th. So when we meet our criteria deadlines in order to get those stuff to you. So the photos you see are going to be quite a bit more advanced, the academic wing in particular. And then the perpendicular wings to that, one is the administration wing, and then the other one is the main cafeteria gathering space area. And quite a bit of work has been done even from these updates here. So the administration building, all of those tilts are stood. Structural steel is completed. We've actually poured some of the decks, and they're moving into the mechanical systems. The cafeteria area, there's not a lot of exterior tilts on that portion. It's mostly steel and curtain wall and different things, and the steel is progressing quite a bit on there. Like I said, if you go into the main north-south academic wing, a lot of the framing is in, the mechanical systems are in, the electrical areas in. All the bathroom areas we started first because there's a lot more work that has to go on there. And then the roofing over that is mostly complete, and I think they have the skylights dried in at this point, right, Justin? Or most of them? Okay, pretty close. And then the manufacturing lab piece there's still some tilts, but like I demonstrated before, because of the way that the tilts work on that, it was best to go ahead and start the steel on the building and get everything going on that, and then basically they're cladding it with the tilts and not waiting. Similar to what you saw at Cypress, where you saw the steel on the main academic wing actually being done. So here's the steel in the administration building, And then the manufacturing lab is moving quite rapidly. We can go ahead and go to the next pictures. This lab is complete in the cafeteria area, and actually quite a bit of steel has already been erected on top of that slab. So this is looking, if you look to the east, you can see the back of the auditorium building that will be demolished next year. 2 years? No, it's next year. 25, yeah. Hopeful, wishful thinking on my part. You can see quite a bit of the ductwork, and actually this space is actually, I believe the ductwork is completed in this space currently. And then quite a bit of framing on those bathrooms is past that point now. So here's the administration area. You can see the glass along the athletics area and the administration wing. And then the one little piece there, the vestibule area, that's the last little piece of the athletic building. That is the actual design entrance versus if you've gone into the athletic building in the last year, you've gone basically on what would have been the interior doors. Yeah, the temporary doors, and this is where the main entrance for the athletic will be and where the main display case for the trophies and such will be. And then these are the seat walls outside of where the new main entrance will be. And then, like I had indicated here, where the main academic building, we've actually got a lot of the exterior paint, and then that curtain wall will be installed later on this fall when we're completely dried in. And that roofing area is all completely covered in at this point. And waiting on the elevators. So no changes other than Skyline, other than a few administrative changes.
I just had a couple questions.
Yes.
I just want to make sure my expectations are managed here. So I'm setting mine out there. We scheduled 2 years for the building of the academic building, right? And I'm assuming in my head there is a time in which you're working on the structure, and then there's a time in which you're doing the finishes. And the structure time is where you're pouring it, and so it's taking up a lot more space, more geography. My question is, how long does that phase take for the structure? And when we're just working on the finishes, do we have more parking?
The answer is the parking area is not relevant to the construction, at least for the academic wing, because all of that area that it takes to build the buildings, all of the workers are on the other side of the building. Does that make sense? Like, none of the parking that's on, and all the parking.
It's on that west side.
Is on the west side.
I see.
Yeah, so that parking won't be complete until probably, well, I mean, and a lot of the parking and the main drop-off area is right where that existing auditorium is. The main drop-off loop is right where the auditorium is, and so when we get rid of that auditorium, all of that work has to be complete. And so everything that you're thinking, that administration, the existing administration, the new administration building will basically be disconnected from the parking lot until that auditorium's down and that work is complete. And then the final condition, at least from the east, goes, the main drop-off is right where that auditorium is sitting. So it's going to be disrupted for quite some time. Yes, it does take up some space, and the parking lot to the west is where some of the pour slabs are right now, but I don't believe that west parking lot will be accessible for at least probably a year and a half.
So they are going to pave the west parking lot this summer, probably at the end of this month, they'll have it paved. But that's where we have to bring in, next year, we have to bring in some relocatable classrooms as part of this transition, because not all of the classrooms come online until 26. And so working with the school, we will bring in some portable classrooms that they'll have on that west side. It'll
On
free
the
up
north and
yeah,
west.
okay.
northwest side.
I
It'll
knew
free
that.
up all the ones on the front, if you will. And so part of that new parking lot will be taken up by those 10 relocatables. There will be a little parking. We've kind of talked with Mitch about this. This goes back several months. There'll be a few parking stalls that maybe some of the faculty could use, or the kitchen staff, or whatever, however he determines that. But most of the parking won't be available until 26. The real answer to your question is, no, there's not a lot of additional parking, but the beauty of it is where the main artery comes now through from the west past, the kids can park at the LDS church over there and then walk up Laurel Crest and through past softball. The connection's there now, and they can make that way. I think it'll free up a lot of the kids that are parking out.
athletics.
Yeah, because that's where the heart of the building will be now, and they can get there much quicker. They won't want to park to the south where they have been parking on those streets. The neighbors have been complaining, because now that's not the quickest route for the kids to get where they need to get. So by using the east parking if they get there early and the church parking on the west and coming together, I think it'll free up the streets a lot better and be a better situation for everybody up there the last 2
Including the neighbors.
years. Including the neighbors.
Yeah, okay. And I know that you're not in charge of the roundabout that Mill Creek City is putting in, but have you seen it? Does it look like it's going to progress and be finished
Yes.
before our doors open?
They've sent us, it was about a week ago, I think, a week and a half ago, we got an email that said they were on schedule. Had a little mishap on Sunday. They hit a water line. They had to get that fixed, and we heard about that. But they got that taken care of, and I think they'll be on their schedule, which I believe was the end of this month, I believe was their
It's
schedule.
supposed to be first.
1st of August.
1st of August.
Is that right, Ben?
The original plan was to start that early enough in the spring that they could finish before the start of the school year, and it looks like that is in fact going to
It's
happen.
looking good. Okay.
We have been sharing their communications with the broader Skyline network just as a courtesy to pass along the information from Mill Creek City, even though it isn't our project.
I appreciate that collaboration. Can I ask one more? I feel like I'm taking over the whole conversation here. Without opening a can of worms here, which I fully feel that I am, at both Cypress and Skyline, it seems like it would be a great moment in the building process to, if there were any changes that we could make that weren't going to cost a lot of money that would make teachers happy, to have them go look at the space. I remember specifically our science teachers at Skyline had very specific thoughts about what their classrooms could look like and how the space could be used. And I have built my own home, and I know that seeing the space was much different than looking at the paper. And I just wonder if there are plans to do that. I wonder it with the caveat that I'm not interested in putting more money into those changes if they're significant, and some of those things we might have to just make do about. But if there were small things that we could do that could make a difference, I would want to. And I think that the way to make those is with teacher feedback.
It is a bit of a concern because every faculty member would want to go, and that is a huge safety liability that puts on our two contractors. They would push back a bit. If we really insisted, we could talk through that. But the other thing is we spent 3 full days in November before we hired BDK. The designers came out from back east. Our interior designers are part of this firm. And we walked through every space on a big screen with elevations. It wasn't walking through the space physically, but we walked through it, showing elevations, showing the floor plan, talking about scale and how things fit in there. And as Mitch Nurden was saying, it was kind of leading up to Christmas. He was like, this is like Santa. Ask for everything, and then we'll weed it down. And if you recall, we talked about that a month ago, where we did come back and narrow that way down. It still came to $150,000 in change orders that they had asked for. And so, and you all saw that I think it was last month. So, point taken, it's always, we feel like we don't have any more money to be spending, and so we don't think that, I don't think that's a wise idea. I think we have listened and heard, and I know from the community, and Ben, you've been in those meetings, Sid, Lott, and Brody Reed up there have communicated multiple times to anyone that listened that they do feel valued now. They feel like they've been listened to, and I think it's been a huge success.
And I'm really familiar with how that process has happened at Skyline. has it also been equally intense at Cypress that teachers have been able to give feedback?
Thank you. So we have a new principal at Cypress, and Josh, and we walked, was it 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks
Josh
ago.
walked through with two of his assistants the space at Cypress, right after I think the board went through. And so he was able to see that. And then the next thing is for him to come in and go over the plans with a fine tooth comb, understanding how things, he doesn't have the history that others have had. Help him understand that. We're going to point out to him these changes that were made at Skyline, and that we think from an equity standpoint, it makes sense to probably make these same changes at Cypress. But we have not sat down with that staff yet, partially because we're not to that point where we did this last year with Skyline.
Okay.
We certainly can. I feel like it's the right thing to do, to meet with them on equal terms like we did with the Skyline staff. So to answer your question, we haven't, but we plan to do so.
Thanks.
I would just add that I know that initially on in the early design phase, I went out there with Don Adams and visited with their school community council and got some feedback and heard some thoughts on a variety of things. I don't think it's been intense. Maybe intense isn't the right word, but intense in terms of how many times we visited with that particular community. But there have been some opportunities, and I think it's appropriate that we ensure that as we enact some of these other design changes, that we continue to collaborate with those community members and stakeholders in that area as well.
And I know that you value, as I do, that our teachers can give really great feedback and help us to not create unintended consequences or create mistakes that we weren't privy to, right?
Sure. Okay, we'll move to Cypress if there was no further questions.
Okay, so I believe all of you went to Cypress, correct? Okay, so I'm just going to give a few updates probably over what you saw. So as we discussed before, the athletics building is progressing very rapidly on an interior standpoint. A lot of it is being completed. One thing that has changed quite a bit since you were there is the digging out of the pool area and some of those window frames and windows being put in along those sides, including our first broken window. So the insulation areas and different things along those lines. And then the other thing that's quite a bit different is the auditorium building. A lot of the HVAC ducting has been done. The steel framing has been done in the back of the house in the performing arts areas. And then the proscenium arch in the main area has been drywalled and looks pretty amazing. Then, of course, the academic buildings in between, a lot of the steel framing, the steel beams and stuff have been installed, and some additional panels have been tilted into place, including the projections for the administration suite. So I believe when we were there, most of those tilt panels were on the ground, and you saw them, and you saw the windows and different things along those lines. Most of those have all been stood at this point, and quite a few of the site buildings have also been installed in the last few weeks since there. So there has been a lot of concrete work and walls and steel erection been going on. The steel erectors are working late almost every single night, taking advantage of the opportunity to get that done. The site work is not progressing as well as we would like. We'd like to get some of those parking lot areas done since we had to deal with Major Mudd and his staff last winter, and we just as soon get some of those parking lots, at least the first lift of asphalt in, so we don't track all of that into all of our buildings. But as you can see by the pictures, these additional administrative wings and other areas have all been stood this month. And then we've got some more roofing put in over the over the athletics area and the site work. And then actually some of the curtain wall frames and the pool is actually, quite a bit of the pool area has been dug out. And then, like I said, here's the glass that we put on the south side of the gym with our first little rock going through a window.
Was the
question?
rock an accident, okay,
It wasn't a gee, there's a big window and I should break it.
okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like, okay, let's get the glass in and let's cover it up quickly. And one pane was not quick enough, so. that's just one of those things that happen. So we're very pleased with the progress. There's still some disconnects on the schedule, but we feel like there is plenty of opportunity for them to hit the schedule as currently for completion end of May, beginning of June of 25 as on contract. So they've still got a whole lot of work to do. As you can see in the room on the right, it's really starting. There's actually some of the benches have actually been completed, and the bench, the masonry at least for those, and we're very pleased with the progress so far. Like I said, there's a few challenges. Here's the locker bases, like I was talking about, for the installation of the lockers, and we just, the weather's been very good to us. We had a little bit of wind yesterday that made the crane a little difficult. I know wind at Cypress is shocking, but we're actually doing really well. Like I said, we could use some real effort on the site at this point to get everything cleaned up and take advantage of our lovely dry summertime. So as far as changes goes, I believe we have the one change for 183R3. This was a change that was, once again, this was a change that was reviewed and requested by staff for changes to the special education and adjacent classrooms. This was issued last fall to the contractor. If you look at the letter that we sent, you can see that they originally responded to pricing back in December, and it sat there in the architect's court for about 3 months, about the time that we came on board. And then we got them to respond back to it. Changes were issued back in May. We reviewed it. There were some additional changes, I think about $20-some thousand counting in. They hadn't issued sufficient credit to the district for the work that was supposed to be installed. And then through June, once again, our negotiations with the contractor, the architect completed their things at the end of June. We recommend this change be done. This is, what would be the right way to describe this? A softer, more operational approach. So some of the calming rooms and different things were taken out, and the space made more better utilization. Justin?
Right, and I know Bryce Day and others in his department worked with us on some of these that would meet the kids' needs, making sure that some of the appliances are ADA, so they can be reached and accessed, and so there was just several things that went into making it a more friendly environment for the special ed population there at the school.
So the changes come to $70,667. Original negotiations, I believe, were almost $100,000, and so this is why there was some back and forth. In addition to the lighting change and then the other change that we brought last month, this is one of the long-standing changes that we've been kicking everything to get done. So as this was requested by the district to better meet the needs, and the pricing has now complied with our recommendations, we recommend it to the board approval.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, thank you. It's always nice to see the progress being made, and especially that rapid progress through the summer. That's exciting. Thank you. Board, we have need for an executive session, so we need someone to make a motion for safety and security. It's a roll call vote, I believe. Let me see.
Yes, it is.
I move that we go to executive session for safety and security.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. It's roll call vote. Start with Julie.
Yes.
Say your name.
With
Julie,
your name,
Say your
please.
name. There you go.
Julie Jackson votes yes.
Kim Chandler, yes.
Connie Burgess, yes.
Karen Winder, yes.
Clark Nelson, yes.
Chris Wynn, yes. Thank you, and we will dismiss everyone not included in that executive session and reconvene.